But what about his killer? Well, there's no reason to believe he's targeting anyone else, but we'll find him. Well, unfortunately, we have to go, but I will come see you later, okay? Rex.
Hello.
Hello, my sister. How are you?
I'm well, and you?
Good, thank you. I'm just mute and setting up the live, the Facebook live. As soon as we are ready, I think that Sis Nomonde.
Hello.
Hello, my sister. Can you still hear me?
I'm here. Why did my voice come up now again? I didn't say hello. Are you there or now? I'm here. Why did my voice come up now again? I didn't say hello.
Hello, my sister. So just so you know, I'm going to mute everyone because we're just preparing for the Facebook live, which is why you hear the repeats.
Okay, okay. Are you there or now? I'm here. Why did my voice come up now again? I didn't say hello.
Hello, my sister. So just so you know, I'm going to mute everyone.
Vince, Hi, sisters. I'm already connected.
Hello? Nomonde?
Oh, Tabisa. Hello, Messia. Tabisa is here.
Not
Hi, Charmaine.
Marsha, it's not Marsha, it's Charmaine.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Charmaine.
Hi, hello, sisters. Hello.
Hello?
Hi, everyone.
Hello, Carmen, how are you doing?
I'm okay, Charmaine, and yourself?
I'm great, man. Enjoying the lovely weather.
Okay.
Hi, Ronel. Hi, Ronel.
Hello, my sisters.
Can you please resend the link on our WhatsApp group? There are people that are struggling to.
Yes,
Come
I just
again?
sent it to Mopone, my sister. It's in the
Oh,
WhatsApp.
okay. All right. I think just send it to the group, to the group. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, Ronel. Good afternoon, sisters.
Afternoon.
Can we have someone who can chair the meeting today?
Hello.
Sister Mwiponi said she cannot. She's got some things to do. Can we have a volunteer to chair?
Sabela.
It never works out being surprised, never what you wanted it to be. But I prefer knowing how it's going.
I want to say it's wrong. How about you? Okay.
Okay, who have we got?
I'm watching live. Etsala. So, internet. I get the way social security.
Folks, what's happening?
Some people are still trying to get in. There's some challenges with registering on Zoom or getting into using the Zoom link.
Oh,
So we're just waiting. I don't know if we decided on a chair yet. I'm in and out my network as always.
Okay, now I saw my pony having to double task and Nomonde taking tablets. I'm not sure if that's sorted now.
Charmaine, are you volunteering to chair?
No, I'm not.
Can we come and how about you, my sister? I'm really not feeling well.
Let's wait and see when once Lungi is in if she wants to take that on. I think all of us provincial chairs and it's quite a task.
Okay, okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Thank
Hi, finally I entered.
Okay, great, good. So we have
Okay,
got
Lungi, hi Lungi. While you were struggling to enter, there was a unanimous decision that you will chair the session.
I thought Nomonde issued the agenda. She should chair the meeting.
You, Betuna, I'm not feeling well.
Now then, there are other leaders in this group.
I've asked my pony, but she also, yeah.
She was struggling to enter just like me. Charmaine, let's hear your leadership. I propose Charmaine.
I second, Charmaine, please.
Ronel, can we start?
Can we, let's just check the provincial delegation. Because
I only see one of my people here, Richie is here.
Okay. Eastern Cape, Tabisa is here. Tulela. Who else is from Eastern Cape here? Tabisa, Tulela. Who else is from the Eastern Cape?
Oh, no one else is Nomonde.
So we are not Tulela at the moment.
No, Tulela.
Okay. Northern Cape, It's Richie, Western Cape. I see there's a lot from the Western Cape. The Moiponi. Hi, Moiponi. There's Moiponi from the Free State. I don't see Mama Emily. I don't see. Connie is here. Connie Limpopo. So I think it's only Mama Emily that is not here.
Comrades, sisters, I'm trying to check with other comrades who are supposed to be connecting in this meeting, or whether are they struggling with the same fate that I went through, or what is the problem? I'll mute myself.
Okay. Can we just give the 4 minutes? Let's give it 4 minutes, and then we start exactly 20 past. Is it fine? Sisters?
What is Nomonde?
Yeah, let's just give it 4 minutes, and then 20 past exactly, then we start. I also want to check some sisters from the Eastern Cape as well, because it looks like there's only 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yes, the corner now.
Oh, uzane lukhona naye?
Even corner.
Oh, okay, Sisenkosi. So Eastern Cape 5. Let me check. Lily. I'm here, Sis Nomonde. Who's that? Upem?
It's someone called Noma.
Oh, okay. All right. Let me check now. So, Sister Charmaine, 20 past you are starting, eh? Lady.
And who is Galaxy J4?
Okay, Umandisa Delta. Which a little bit later because Upuma rural democracy.
I'm here, Dash.
Oh, so hello. Oh, so it's
easy.
Okay, looks like I can hear you. So there's only one person.
Okay.
There's 2. Okay, Eastern Cape with 7. So there's 2 more.
Is Dinia here and Renette? And Sheriff? Or Renette, I see.
Yes, Renette is here. I don't see Dinia.
Sheriff is not here.
Okay.
Sister Senior did send in an apology in the Western Cape WhatsApp group. So I know that she won't be here, but I do see Renette and I do see Carmen. I do see Sheriff.
So I think we can start. Sister Charmaine?
Hello.
Hi,
can you-
Charmaine.
Hello. Yes.
Yes, I think you can lead us. We can start now.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hear you.
Good afternoon, sisters. It's a wonderful sunny day in Cape Town, and I hope where you all others are that the weather is fine and that you're not too cold. Welcome to the third meeting of the National Rural Women's Movement of South Africa. And this is our third meeting on gender-based violence, looking at drawing up a strategy for the entire country. We had during the past, we had a few provincial meetings. I'm not sure did the entire province meet, but I know about Free State, Eastern Cape, Northern Cape, Western Cape, and I think Gauteng. I'm not sure about Limpopo and Mpumalanga, but we all met, and we are here with a lot of new names I see, and I'm very glad that we were all able to log in, and those that is still trying to log in, I hope the network will allow you to get on to this afternoon's meeting. As I said, this meeting is about getting a strategy for us as rural women, how we think the pandemic of gender-based violence needs to be addressed in each province. And as we all know, each province has got different dynamics. So what works for the one will not necessarily work for the other. But on the issues that we agree that will work across the borders, then that's fine. But if there is new things that you wish to add to the strategy, I invite you to come up with all. I think some of us did get the minutes. I couldn't open ours because the password didn't work, but the minutes of the latest meetings is there, and also of the strat meeting that we had on the 9th of July. I think on that, I can give over to Lungi or Carmen or anybody else. Hello.
Hi, Charmaine, what are you asking of us? Charmaine?
Yes, I'm listening.
Hi,
What are you asking of us?
I think Charmaine was asking if you have a word regarding
Yes.
You have a word regarding the meeting today.
We have had the meetings, we had seen the minutes. Some of us was able to read the minutes. Is there, I think I can allow Ronel just to take us through the minutes that was there, the basic points.
Yeah, I think that's the best option. Yeah.
Yes. Ronel, are you there?
Yes, I am. Yes, sisters. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you are doing well. You're going to have to forgive me because I'm just multitasking, trying to make sure everyone is getting onto the call as we speak. I think maybe just as a way of making sure that we are all on the same page, is that this is the second national meeting that we had, and after the first national meeting, there was a decision to make the 8 resolutions that came from that meeting to take it to our different provinces. And so for the last 2 weeks, we've had the different provinces engaging with their provincial networks to speak about what are the specific challenges that the provinces have, and how is it that the provinces suggest that they are able to kind of work through these different challenges. I would suggest that it would be important for the different provincial leaders to kind of speak to the different points. But maybe one of the things that I can do is to speak to the 8 resolutions that we've come to in the last national meeting. I'll try really quickly if you can have a little patience with me for me to load what those 8 resolutions are on the screen, so that we all are able to kind of work through it as I talk through it. So please just offer me like a few minutes so that I can manage that. In the meantime, maybe it's important just to mention that this is a collective action. We are really trying to, as a collective, speak to how it is that we are able to make femicide fall, and to understand the intricacies as it relates to the different provinces and how we move as a national unit. And also to say that this is not a challenge, the brutal killing and murdering of women, children, and folks who are non-conforming folks. This is not only you know, something that is specific to South Africa, but it is something that is also happening in the region. And so we kind of share our mindfulness around that as well. Is everyone able to see my screen with the 8 resolutions? If I could just have maybe some people in the
Yes, we can see it.
Perfect.
Yes, we can see.
Thank you so much, my sister. So just to mention that the last big meeting, we had Dr. Maluse join us in a conversation. And I think for us, it was also important to have a man be part of like the guest speaker to share in some of his insights and thoughts. And his kind of thoughts was not necessarily completed. We did say that we want to bring him back for a further conversation, and we're probably going to have that at a later stage. But the resolutions we came from was really from some input that we received, both from him and from the sisters who had attended. And the 8 resolutions, I mean, you can read them from the screen, but also just to specifically go through each of them. Number 1 for us was to make sure that we make a thorough analysis of women's economic situation in South Africa. There was a lot of conversation about women in particular remaining with their abusive partners, you know, because there's some sense of economic reliance on this abuser. And so it was really kind of in that spirit that we wanted to be able to do an analysis of what that means for women, so that it's not just a blanket statement that we make, but there's some kind of evidence to this. The second resolution for us was to develop self-empowerment and economic opportunities for women. And again, that goes to point number 1 in trying to understand the economic situation of women in South Africa. And the third was to do training of paralegal officers at community level. So to make sure that if there were to be a case that comes up of gender-based violence or femicide, that there is a connection to someone who is able to walk you and talk you through what needs to happen next and what steps you are able to follow in order to report your case and in order to make sure that justice is served. A fourth point was to create a safe first contact for victims. So a first responder for victims before reporting the case to avoid re-traumatization by police. I think this is a very, and you know, we concurred this, we heard this in many of the provincial meetings. And just to say that there had been some resolutions that sisters had discussed in their provincial meetings as it relates to this particular point. The first point was to make sure that there's both a national and a local, so like all the different structures are organized as we start to campaign against gender-based violence and femicide. Point number 6 was to challenge the current justice system. A lot of the sisters in the meetings agreed that there was just no support, that the justice system is just not supporting women, children, and people who are non-conforming. The 7th point was to establish temporary safe homes for survivors. And, you know, there was a lot of discussion about this, particularly in the Northern Cape, speaking to the victim empowerment programs and the like, and I'm sure that the sisters will be openly sharing about that. And then point number 8 of the resolutions that we took was to kind of build networks and solidarity to support women and children as they go through the process of reporting and as they go through the process of even understanding gender-based violence and what it means to them in particular. I think maybe Chair, Sister Charmaine, if we are able to get representatives of different provinces who may want to speak to their specific resolutions as it relates to the 8. Maybe that's a way to move forward. But I take your leadership, my sister.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ronelle. I think that was what came up also. That was a discussions point, and we had different discussions as we heard in the different provinces. If we especially take the Northern Cape with considering the economic viability of women, it was said to us by Esther Katz, that was one of our delegates, that you can't loosen climate change from the economic activities of women in the current situation, because climate change has caused a lot of women's, especially those that is involved in planting or small farmers, food gardens and things like that. Climate change has caused them not to be able to do these things, because we had in some of the areas, especially in the Northern Cape, we had a 7-year drought. We had a little bit of rain now, but the rain was not enough everywhere. The rain didn't fall everywhere so that people was able to get out of the drought. So that is one of the conditions that we need to address urgently, is the issue of climate change, and how do we get women to adapt or to get alternatives. That was the one issue with us. The other issue was the victim empowerment. In some areas, it worked very well, especially in the DR, which is Pixley Kasema. In that area, the victim empowerment works very well, and in some areas, it just don't work. So we need to find out, we need to get other partners involved, especially like government SAPs, social development, that has the victim empowerment group under their name. How can they service our people better? So that was some of the things in the Northern Cape. Perhaps we can hear from my pony what went on in Free State. My pony.
Mrs. Mapone, you are unmuted.
Is it my turn to speak?
Yes, my sister.
Yes,
Charmaine. Go ahead, Sister Charmaine.
Hello? My pony.
Yes, Chairperson. I didn't get the is my turn to speak?
Yes.
To report as a province. I wanted to be clear because I'm not the one who's reporting. One of the sisters in Botshabelo will report on behalf of the province.
Now call a name.
Dimpo
I
will
phone
report.
they are asking for the Free State to report. So whoever you have nominated to speak on behalf of the province, she can now go ahead.
Dimpo will report.
Afternoon, sisters. Can you hear me?
Hello, sister. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. We as a Free State, we had the meeting and then our point were as the follows, ne? Point number 1, analysis of women's economic situation in SA. On this issue, the meeting agreed to have a workshop and a dialogue. The province will require research material that will be able to assist with the current situation. Point number 2, training of paralegals officers. We agreed to have young women to be identified to be trained as paralegal officers at our center or shelter that will be open. And then point number 3, safe first control to avoid re-traumatization of gender-based violence victims. We agreed that on this one, the campaigns will have and must call on the government to hire female officers, health workers who will deal with the issues to avoid the trauma that the victims are facing. When number campaigns to add provincials, the meeting, we agreed to have an ongoing campaign that will focus on bringing women to talk about their experience of being abused, and the survivors must come and tell us about their experience. And we also agreed to have what you call a campaign that is called Tubaleshwa Basadi, or Break the Ice. And it is called hashtag Break the Ice or hashtag Tubaleshwa Basadi. And then on another point whereby we challenge current justice, here we will hire or we'll go to the court or have those people who will work with the justice system and be able to follow the report or the cases that we are facing of abuse. And then we managed to have the names of the people who are going to work along with the current justice system. Those people are from Excelsior, Botshabelo, and Bloemfontein. And then we also agreed to open a shelter for the victims that were abused. And on the network and solidarity, we agreed to open an organization that works with the gender-based violence and pay solidarity with the victims. I thank you.
Thank you very much. That was the Free State, and something similar that came out of the Free State that also was raised in the Northern Cape was sort of the talk shops or the talk rooms where we allow women to share, to get rid of all the hurt that is inside, once or twice a month we have a talk room, and I think that is what Free State also indicated in one of their reports. Can we hear from the Western Cape what was their discussions?
Chairperson, can I add on the points that were missed by our rep?
Sure, you can add.
Okay. On the provincial campaign, the meeting agreed to have an ongoing campaign that will focus on bringing women to talk about their GBV experiences, not to suffer in silence, to break a stigmatization of GBV victims and survivors. The meeting agreed to have a poster that will encourage to talk and share about their past and present situation. We agreed to have that, she explained about Tubaletwa, which will be our campaign where we'll be. Also agreed that it is important to have T-shirts that have messages and numbers where women will call to talk or seek help. And then the campaign will start from the second week of August 2020. We will use media and social platform to post and talk about our campaign. Under challenging the current justice system, the meeting agreed that the victims, we will have to have a database of victims of GBV and follow up on those cases and give support to victims. And also, we believe that we need to do that because if we don't support GBV victims, they end up losing hope in the justice system and then withdraw the cases. We agreed that victims need constant support and psychosocial help. And then also we need to call on the minister to make sure that all the reported cases during the lockdown are dealt with. We also need to access that database and do follow-up, and then to make, the meeting agreed with provincial working team. She already mentioned that. And then also the issue of shelter, where we will be providing skills and security for GBV victims. And then we also agreed about the SMS helpline that we also need that as the province, but we will learn from other provinces that are piloting it. And then we also agreed about the symbols that will be used when we already established our program, where we will be using a lipstick on the windows, and then also a mug or a cup that will be hanging on the window, a window handle, so that it can alert people if a woman is suffering from gender-based violence, and then report it to SAPS or to our helpline. I think those are the points that she missed, but she did well. Thank you.
Thank you, my pony. Can you tell me how will a mug or a cup indicate to me that there is danger inside the house?
When we go to social media with our campaign, we will talk about it as one of the symbols that we are going to use. And then also during our workshops and trainings. That's how we are going to familiarize the women with our symbols of seeking help or attention.
Okay. Is there any other sisters or folks that needs to ask the Free State some questions? Or will we wait till all the provinces has reported and then take questions?
Hi, Charmaine. I wanted to ask the same question, but I'm thinking I might forget it by the time we finish all the provinces. It's a very quick question. May Pony and the Free State Sisters, they mentioned that they want to open a safe house or a center, something like this. How would you do that? Are you thinking of fundraising? Are you thinking of campaigning and from government and demand a house that must be made available? Or are we thinking of alternative ways of maybe finding some sisters who we can utilize for safety and so on? I don't know.
Thanks, Lungi, for the question. We have established a committee that will be leading on this program of GBV. It's one of the points that we will discuss more further. And already from what you have just said, we've taken some points that we can identify a house from one of our sisters and raise funds so that we can maintain the shelter. And one of the suggestions that was done by one sister from Excelsior, if I still remember, she was saying that we need also to bring on board different stakeholders, SAPS, the social development, and the justice department, in order to assist in establishing this center. All the relevant organizations and relevant government departments. Thank you.
Thank you, my pony. Anybody else? Lungi, are you clear?
Yes, thank you, my sister. Thanks, my pony and the team. I think you did well.
Okay, anybody else that wants to add or ask
Charmaine.
questions to the Free State?
Mr. Charmaine, I just want to draw your attention to the chat group. There's quite a few comments made in the chat group. We got a comment from Marsha, 2 comments. The one is to maybe an explanation of the talk rooms. I think that must have been you, Sister Charmaine, who spoke about the talk rooms, and the representative from Free State, if maybe you could elaborate on that a little more. And then the second point is to also ask the question about, should we not be using a pan or a lid of a pot as a way to indicate concerns or worries about or incidents of gender-based violence happening in the home?
Yeah, but remember, my pony indicated that the mug or the cup or whatever will be marketed, it will be advertised, it will be spoken about in their meetings. They will advertise that that is the way of indicating that there is gender-based violence taking place. So perhaps the cup or the mug, as they say, it will work, and then perhaps some other forms, other areas will perhaps be able to use the pot or the pan or the red cloth or something like that. Perhaps we can hear from the other provinces, perhaps they also discussed that specific issue of how to indicate to the outside world that there is trouble in this house. So let's hear from the Western Cape.
Hi, thank you, Charmaine, and hi, everyone. I think we just touched on that we need to look at something to show other people that there's trouble in the house, because it's not often easy to speak out, or your life is sometimes in danger, so you can't get the message out. But we didn't really look at, the conversation didn't go there about specifically what to do. So I'll just go into some of the main points that we touched on. If it's okay, Charmaine, can I go on for the Western Cape?
Go ahead.
Okay, so the issue of safe houses also came up, But I think there's more an obligation. It was more in a sort of an obligation from the state side to provide safe houses instead of creating one ourselves. But listening to the Free State, if we go that route of trying to see how we set up safe houses, we must look at the legality of how to set up and how to ensure that everyone in the house is safe, even those who are creating the safe houses. So just for us to think about and see how we can make it work. Then the issue of public transport came up. For women living in the rural areas or on farms, it's difficult and expensive and not always possible to seek assistance. Also, traveling to and from areas of work, bad public transport system also puts your life in danger. Then there was a lot said about also the link between poverty and GBV and the economic independence or dependence. Then the criminal justice system came up and police and court negligence, where evidence just get lost or cases don't go to court, how to raise awareness about that. And yeah, and also how the question of how do women become financially independent to minimize their vulnerability. Solidarity. There must also be solidarity. The GBV matter is a valid point for solidarity between urban and rural, and women should be encouraged to speak out. There was also the link, the issue of food insecurity, especially now during lockdown, and how that also impacts the household, the conditions in the house, and the increase of GBV in that way. Then the other evictions and its impact on the household and on women in particular, but also the institutional violence that women experience when there is evictions, the state order, the red ants and the brutality and the violence that women suffer through that. So it's not only household or intimate partner violence, but also institutional violence, police brutality during the whole lockdown period. So that should also be factored in. Some of the campaigns or some of the issues that was discussed on how to deal with the issue. The SMS helpline that will be launched that we all know of. But it was also said that the launch must be a very a cultural, creative, must be done in a creative way. Then obviously pamphlets to raise awareness. A lot of focus because we had quite a number of young women in the webinar. So how to utilize the energy and the creativity of the youth to help with the campaigns. And also how to raise consciousness of young men, because the sooner men are being, if men are raised differently or conscientized differently, there'll be a decrease in violence, or that at least is the hope. So local radios and local media must be used. Yeah, gender. Oh yeah, the gender. No, the LGBTI. Gender is not only women, so that issue was also touched on. So that is some of the issues that I've noted. I don't know if Renette or anyone else wants to add that was there, that was part of the webinar.
Thank you, Carmen. Is there any additions from the group? Your time is now.
Hi, Charmaine, and thanks, Carmen. I think Carmen has covered all the critical points that were raised in that webinar. The only thing I wanted maybe to share with the sisters here, there was a powerful poem that kick-started the meeting, which was really touching and a lot to learn from and to reflect on, which we used also to reflect on during that webinar. So I'm saying this because suddenly I had a thought that maybe another tool that we need to think about as we devise the strategy, the national strategy, is to maybe have YouTube poetry that is done as part of our campaigning. Yeah, so it's just a thought that came to me now. And we have some interesting writers and painters, artwork that is being done as well that depict. I saw Free State also shared a piece of artwork that was done by one of their sisters. So if maybe we can collect all of these and also put it in our website as a way of putting out there the voices of the young women or women around GBV and femicide. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Sis Lungi. Yes, I think the YouTube will go wide, and that is really something that we need to think of. I saw Renette wanted to say something. Renette.
Sister Charmaine, maybe while we wait for Sister Renee to join, because I can't see her unmuting. We also have Mersha's hand up.
Yeah, yes.
If I may make a point, if you don't mind.
Yes.
So thank you, people, and I apologize for being late, but this is my third meeting for the day. So I like Lungisa's proposal about the using art forms, visual forms. And I was wondering if we don't organize a poster making competition, so that we ask young people in the schools and in our own groups to submit posters, you know, like this they do with Working for Water or something like that, and that we make such a poster competition, and that could be an online display or it could be in the different areas, and we choose the top 12 posters and make a calendar for Rural Women's Assembly South Africa, and we sell some of that, and it could go towards some of the safe house projects or something like that, just so that we really get into the schools what people think. But it could be with a theme, you know, how to keep women safe or what must change in our society, you know, like that theme as the poster theme. Or it could be a poem theme. We could do a few things: essays, poem, and poster. Thank you.
I want to second that, in the absence of anybody saying anything else. Maybe a book with poems, because I think there's a number of young women who are writing poems. So like our Rua booklets with poems, and then the calendar with the posters, yes.
Thanks, Carmen. Can we hear the Eastern Cape?
Okay. I guess Lily's not here yet. She was struggling with the connection. Lily is supposed to be reporting. But I think what I can do now, because a lot of things have been touched on, especially the issue of the safe house. We also discussed the same issue, but with us it was from a different angle, because there's a lot of safe houses here and centers for abused women here in the Eastern Cape, but like 80% of them are dysfunctional, because most of them were dependent on the Department of Social Development for funding. And then when the funding was finished, then they couldn't sustain themselves. So we're thinking along the lines of trying to identify some of the safe houses or the centers that are there, and we make a demand to government and see how they can make them, functional again. But also on that issue, on the same issue, we were thinking about like kind of a, what do they call it? We call it like a first stop, like first stop something, I don't know, like where women will be doing the first contact before they go to the police stations, because we feel that the police stations are kind of re-traumatizing women instead of helping them. So we're thinking along the lines of having something like an office where they will, come and get counseling and get listened to, and then once they are ready, then they can get also, be accompanied to the police station. There's also Zanele, fortunately, she's here in the meeting. We're also thinking, how do we support the victim empowerment centers, because they're also placed at the police stations. Maybe Zanele can talk more about that. She's part of this meeting. She's coordinating one of those victim empowerment centers. And then the other thing, I'm not going to talk about things that have been discussed already. The other thing, we did some kind of an analysis of the number of police stations that we have in the villages, and we find that the police stations are in most cases in town, and there's no police station that is located in the rural villages for people to be able to kind of report. So we made like 2 examples of the villages. The other one has got 26 villages, and there's one police station which is also located in town. And then the other one is about 13 villages, which has got only station as well, and that police station is in town as well. Things that you wanted to do, provincial task team that was set up by the Premier, and see if they can't organize mobile police stations for rural women. Then the other thing was the idea of having like focal persons, gender focal persons within these structures. What do they call them? Police forums in the communities, because we feel that these police forums, they don't have capacity to deal with gender-based violence cases. So we need to get a focal person who will be trained and placed within the police forum so that they can be able to deal with the gender-based violence cases. Yeah, and we also discussed how the focal persons could be linked to the SMS helpline in terms of popularizing the SMS helpline and getting involved in terms of assisting the victims firsthand. Yeah. But then also the continuing community education, especially on women and children on their rights, as well as some kind of education on the government national strategic plan on gender-based violence, so that people can know what their rights are. Let me just stop there. Yeah.
Oh, okay, Sis Nomonde, can I add something?
Yes.
You're welcome.
Sis Nomonde, we also spoke about the We also spoke about the redirecting of the budget. Like, for instance, here in Eastern Cape, our government bought some scooters for this pandemic. So we feel like our government used money in useless things. So we said we want to redirect the budget.
Sister, can you explain to us how do you think you can go about redirecting, or how do you intend setting up a conversation or a meeting with your government to look at redirecting the funds? Can we hear what do you think? How can you do this thing? The scooters is currently a very big issue, but how do you think can we speak to government about redirecting funding?
Okay, if I may chip into that, as I said, one of the tasks for me was to organize a meeting with the task team that was set up by the Premier last year. So we wanted to begin a conversation with that GBV task team in the province. So we will also raise issues like that when we have those conversations.
Okay, thank you, Sis Monde, because I think that is very important, that we must start to make ourselves known to the government in the provinces, to say that the Rural Women's Assembly or the Rural Women's Movement is here. We are here, we are aware, we are not taken into consideration when there's meetings, we are not invited, our voices is not heard. It is in most cases the voices of people in the urban areas that you see in these meetings, and we want to be heard now. So thank you for that. Perhaps if you have a meeting with the stakeholders, other provinces can take after, and also try and set up meetings where we can speak to people, redirecting resources to rural areas where there is no police station, or where there is no clinic, or where people struggle even with network. So thank you for that. Sister Connie in Limpopo?
Yeah, I have a question.
Oh, thank you, Masha. Sorry, I had to open for questions.
Yes, because
go ahead, Masha.
So I think to the Eastern Cape, which is a common issue for all of us across the regions, is not to have Charmaine's approach. Our approach must be to ask us, what is it that we need money for to deal with this violence? At the moment, for me, it's not useful for us to go to the government to interrogate the budgets when we don't know what it is that we want money for. And that is an important conversation. What is it that we require money for? So the Eastern Cape is saying we must redirect. But for what, sisters?
Okay, can I just...
I think we need to have that as a key political conversation so that it becomes part of our campaign. Because we can't, I don't want to make our campaign, we want more police stations. That mustn't be a woman's only campaign. That must be community's campaign to fight crime. But we must also ask what must change in the policing in relation to supporting gender-based violence, because half of those police are equally brutal and violent to women. So I think this is a very big issue, and I'm just flagging it back to us as the Rural Women's Assembly.
Don't stop. Okay, Charmaine, can I just raise the last point?
Go ahead.
Okay. Oh, okay. Maybe to respond to Mesha's question, we really need to do a lot of work in relation to that. But we've identified some of the things like revamping of the centers that are dysfunctional now, and the other one, the support to the victim empowerment centers, because the government support, doesn't really commit themselves into, and we know that those are local structures that are really fighting gender-based violence. But the other thing that was raised was issue of women and physical self-defense. I think there was someone who raised the issue of women getting pepper sprays, especially women who are in intimate partner, violence, to have like pepper sprays in the house so that when men start beating them, they can use them, and at least someone will have a time to run out and get help. Yeah, I think, that's it.
Thank you, Sister Nomonde. There's two more hands, Sister Norma. That's up. These two hands. Can I hear you? You can speak, Sister Norma. Hello?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. You can go ahead.
Okay, Charmaine, thanks very much. I think Sus Nomonde has touched on the question that Mesha asked as to what are we looking to redirect the budget for. Sus Nomonde mentioned that we've got shelters in the Eastern Cape, but some of them, they are not working because they're lacking funds. The money, I think this is the most important thing of the funds, to revamp, to get more people and to get more, as in how can we help them. It's not about that the money, we just want the money. We've got a point as we do have shelters and we do need shelters, but we do have shelters, but they are not working because they don't have any funds. So I think which is an important, a point, to revamp those shelters that we have, because they are there, but they are not working, but they need to be revamped. I think it's the most important reason that, we as women, we can tell the government to redirect the budget. The budget is to revamp those shelters, because we do really need shelters. At the same time, we're gonna need money to go to do these mobile shelters that we're talking about, to go to the rural areas, because really, how are we going to get the rural, mobile police stations to go to the rural areas? It's the money that we can ask from the government so that they can give us. It's redirecting the budget. It's part of redirecting the budget. That was my point. And other points, Sus Nomonde has touched that point. Thank you very much, Charmaine.
Can we have Marsha? I see Marsha's hand is up.
So thank you, Sister Norma. I think what you're saying is quite important. But I think what we must do as a whole is to examine the commitment of the government to dealing with gender-based violence in a holistic way. And then we must ask now, if we want an holistic approach, what must be put in place? So if you are saying we need to reimagine the shelters, then in the shelters, we should say we also need social workers and counselors. We also need X and Y. So all I'm saying is that at the moment, we should talk through this issue and make it a big part of our contribution to this work of gender-based violence, so that we look at everything holistically, because at the moment there isn't a proper budget to deal with gender-based violence. It's split across social welfare, social development, a little in the police, a little in justice, a little there, etc. And that's what I am asking, that we have a holistic approach to thinking everything, how this must happen to change, to resource this work. I'm talking a lot, but for me it's a critical issue that the money must be thought through systematically. I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying, but I'm saying we need a bigger point on this issue.
We've got another hand up, Galaxy something, Galaxy X whatever. Can we hear who you are? Can you tell us, introduce yourself and then speak? Hello? There's another hand up.
Hi, Charmaine, is it me? I think my name is on there. Hello, sisters.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Charmaine, my name is Richie. I'm a social worker in Springbok. And I've also founded recently the organization called Kanyisa Care Center for Abused Women. And I've been listening to the conversation, and I just want to get in there before I get lost with a few stuff that I want to mention that relates to whatever you've mentioned so far.
Go ahead, Richie.
All right. So the one thing is, with regards to we've just started established a safe house called Kanyisa, and it's in conjunction with the local district municipality. And we now have meetings with social development, Department of Health, SAPS, transport safety and liaison. What I do see is missing in this whole approach and listening is a standardized what do you call it, protocol or standardized whatever for safe houses across South Africa, because safe houses seem to operate differently and independently from each other, and it's confusing when it comes to budget allocation, right? Because one safe house wants XYZ amount of money, but we don't know. Like, I think it's important to establish that each safe house, for instance, needs a social worker or a therapist, because the issue is so complex, right? And the other thing that we're lacking in terms of service delivery for gender-based violence issues of women and children is a multidisciplinary team approach. My question then is, where does the responsibility lie and with whom? Does it lie with the safe house? Does it lie with social development or SAPS? But we don't have a coordinated approach when it comes to service delivery. Because I do think that it's such a critical issue, and in terms of like really getting to the service or to the core of the problem, it must be discussed in a multidisciplinary approach where you have your social worker, where you have your SAPS representative, where you have your DSD official, and I know that they have allocated social workers specifically focused on gender-based violence, which we might also include the nurse or the doctor, the local doctor, and then somebody from the NPA, from justice, who will then channel this or kind of manage this case, you know, individual cases, to address the issue and make sure that gender-based violence concerns are fully addressed to the, specifically. So that's the 2 points with regards to the finances that we need, what we need it for. But if we can have a standardized system with regards to safe houses and the type of services that we require within these safe houses, plus the multidisciplinary team approach that needs to be mapped out and kind of formalized within a policy. I also know there's a national shelter movement for South Africa that kind of deals with the issue of shelters and the services, also lobbying with government with regards to funding, because I know that they say that government only give 40% of funding, but also with regards to sustainability, I think that should be a national approach so NGOs doesn't collapse because the funding from DSD is now kind of finished. But finances needs to be streamlined with regards to specific services that the shelter has to offer. Thank you.
Thank you, Richie. I didn't hear you though. Something went wrong now, so my phone is dead. I'm not sure what is. Can you hear me? Can people hear me?
I can hear you clearly.
Oh, because something went wrong now. My phone is very, very soft now. I hear you speaking about how we do the safe houses or things like this. But in the rural areas, it is really, really difficult to have these safe houses, and because in some cases, if you take the Northern Cape, then I'm not sure where you speak about Springbok, and I know in the R is one, and the R, the house in the R that belongs to Etembeni, covers the entire Piklikasema area. And how do people travel from one district, from one municipal area to another in that same district to take people to this center? So setting up a center or starting a center is not always very easy. Perhaps we must look at how we possibly can localize a shelter where women can run to.
Chairperson, just a moment, please. I'm chairperson. The role of the chair is to open the questions. He posed something. It's not for the chair to try and answer all the questions, because now Richie is going to respond, and then it becomes a dialogue, which we shouldn't have either. There are many others who must still talk, and it's past 4. I'm just trying to, sorry that I'm jumping in like this.
No, it makes sense. Good.
Okay, Nomonde, I can't hear anything. I can hardly hear. Can you take over, Nomonde, or my pony, that you can just steer this thing in the right direction? I'm not doing a good job, I think. Thank you. I'll try and listen. I'll try and work out why I can't hear. Hello.
Hi, Charmaine. We can hear you loud and clear.
Please read what I wrote to Charmaine Lungisa in the chat.
Yes. Charmaine, you are doing a good job. You just love us. So just continue with the meeting. I think you've been holding it well. It was more to steer the meeting forward again. Can you continue, because you've already almost done the process?
I'll try, Sister Lungi, but as I say, I can't really hear you. I heard Richie very faintly. In the beginning, I heard him clear, but then I heard him very faintly, and I heard Mersha also faintly. But can we get Sister Connie to give us some report from Limpopo?
Yeah,
Hello, Sis Connie?
Connie, are you on the line? Can you come and talk and share with us the outcomes of your meeting? Or is there anyone else from Limpopo? Any other province that have not shared as yet? My Emily's team.
Is there any other province that needs to be reported? As Lungi just requested any other province?
Charmaine, by the look of things, it looks like everybody is reported.
Okay. Perhaps I just want to add what came out in our province about the court support system, and if Michelle is on, I don't see the name, I just see phone makes. Perhaps if you can just explain what the court support is that we have in the DR area, because I think that will be also very important to have in other areas where women is afraid of having to go to court because court is unknown to them. If Michelle here or Claire is on, that can just explain how the court support works. But before that, I see Carmen has got her hand up, and we get Carmen to speak, please.
Okay, I wanted to speak on the shelters, but I'll start off with the court support. Because the court process can be very intimidating. People don't know the process, and often, as it came out already, that people are re-traumatized within the court process. So we will go with somebody, but we'll also counsel them and support them before the court process. And then local communities will go, activists will go with to court. They will have their T-shirts with slogans on and sit and support and follow the process and monitor. And also, if they feel that the process was not fair, they will document and highlight and appeal. But it's important that the person going to court doesn't feel alone, that there's always a group of women that are prepared to walk that mile with him, that road with him. The issue on the shelters, what came up in some of the local sessions that we had, no, not the provincial one, but within our organization, is that when people go, there's a minimum of 3 months that people go to a shelter. And it's not only counseling, but also skills development. So that once women who are not financially independent, once they leave, that they have a particular skill to generate their own income. But I think within RUA structures, we must, without even going to a shelter, we must continue to ensure that women have skills to generate their own income, even if with little bits of money at a time. That helps to give them some sort of independence, and also how to budget and save money in case they need to get out of a house or out of a place, so that they have some build-up resources to use. What was the other thing? Also with the shelters, what they get a voucher. A local store voucher that will help them for a period, say 3 to 6 months, to buy certain supplies, maybe nappies or milk for babies if there's babies involved or so. So those are the kinds of things that, so it's not only about going to a shelter and getting counseling, but it's also to prepare women once they leave the shelter how to live independent lives of the violent partners. I just want to.
Oh. Ronel, I can't see the hands. I can't see who wants to speak. So I really think somebody must take over here.
Just to say, Sister Charmaine, there's a few questions on the chat panel, and it's a Sis Naomi who said she basically asked a question or made a statement. Are there perhaps any capacity building training where people can participate? We really need training around the court processes and understanding it. If there's anyone in the group that could maybe respond.
Sister Ronel, I can't hear you. Feel that I can't hear anything now. What's wrong here?
Okay, Auntie Charmaine, I will assist from now.
Please, my pony, because I don't know what went wrong here.
Okay, sisters, they are, I don't know whether this is a question or comment where they're saying we need training around court processes and understanding it. And also like capacity building programs in shelters. That's some of the comments that were made. I think it was responding to exactly what we need money for, what we need money for. So I saw Francina on list of participants. Are you not going to represent Gauteng? Were you not part of the meeting? Anyone who was part of the meeting in Gauteng or Limpopo? Because there is an outstanding report from those two provinces. Anyone who's going to chip in to save the moment in terms of reporting for their provinces? I see some people who are from Limpopo and Gauteng. If there's no one at the moment, what we have seen is that there are, although I was not chairing the meeting and I was busy with some stuff in the household, let me say cooking, and then now I didn't write down the points. Sister Ronel, did you manage to get a summary of what we have presented? I hear sisters talked about shelters. Sisters talked about that we need to revamp existing shelters that are in the province, especially those in Eastern Cape. And then they talked about a more police station in the rural areas. And you can add, Sister Ronel, some of the points that I missed.
Sure, my
sister. Connie, I see Connie's hand is up here now.
Okay, she may proceed.
Oh, no, but I think nobody had to then.
Galaxy Grand Crime. Who are you presenting, or Ronel must mute you? Connie?
Hello.
Hello, Sis Connie. You can present.
Yes, yes. In a meeting that we had, we discussed about several issues happening in different areas where it says where we are from, and then we agreed that there should be ongoing campaigns. There should be ongoing campaigns where we must also engage young women and young men in those campaigns. We also agreed on starting the robot campaign. And then we also agreed that because we have victim empowerment projects, we must involve social workers on this project, because there are people who are working in this project and then who are not capacitated. So we agreed that we must engage with the social workers so that they capacitate those people, because they are operating without a capacity. And then we also said that we must use our community radio stations to talk about gender-based violence and femicide. And then one more other thing that we talked about is that we must advocate for each other, because you find that a woman is captured there in the man's house. That woman cannot even talk for herself, she cannot even report the abuser to the police stations, and then we have to shout. Also, the other challenge that we having is that we don't have access to justice. There's no police stations in the rural areas. There's no go to the police stations. Then, and it's very difficult for some of us because of the transport, which is very expensive. And then we also agreed that we should, wherever we are, we must be preaching about gender-based violence. Like, for instance, visible as Rural Women's Assembly by wearing our t-shirts. We also agreed that we have to picket, keeping the social distances and wearing our masks. We have to picket, although in many areas like where I am now, it's very difficult supporting each other due to the long distances to the police stations. But we said that we might have to find ways for us to help each other, to go picket in helping each other. And then we also said that there should be young women who have to be trained as paralegals in the rural areas. We don't have such. Even the safe houses in the rural areas, we don't have those safe houses for the victims of GBV. So we agreed that those safe houses should be established in the rural areas. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Thank you, Sister Connie. Gauteng, we're still having an outstanding report from you so that we can have a summary and also way forward on a national approach on what provinces have presented. Anyone from Gauteng who can do a summary presentation of what we have agreed upon? Okay, comrades. It seems like there is no one from Gauteng. All the provinces have presented except Gauteng. Comrade Ronel, do you have their minutes with you?
My sister, I don't have Gauteng's minutes with me, but I am able to speak to a summary. But I thought just before I share the summary, is just to check with Sister Lungisa if she wants to do some input on the SMS helpline before we draw a summary.
Okay. Sis Lungi?
Okay, thanks, Ronel, and thanks, Moiponi. As you all know, we are in the process of setting up an SMS helpline for gender-based violence victims and survivors. This will help facilitate, particularly for our rural women who have no smartphones. Therefore, this SMS helpline will be free. They will be able to send SMSs to us, and we will be able to respond to them and give them guidance of what to do. So these conversations that we've been having now and these reports are helping us further in terms of seeing how to move forward, especially with the SMS line in future for other provinces as well. But the issue now about the SMS line, we would like to launch it on the 8th of August. Originally, we thought we would do it next Saturday, but there is clearly a lot of popularizing and media prep that needs to be done. I was actually happy to hear that Free State is going to be doing a lot of campaigning locally at provincial level next week. This is exactly what we are going to be doing as well. This SMS helpline at the moment, we are piloting it in the Eastern Cape and in the Western Cape. But whatever reports that will come, it will be put, we will popularize it on our Facebook, for example, the Roa Facebook and so on. So people might go there and send a case, and maybe it's in Free State. It's important, therefore, to be able to link to our provincial coordinators of the Rural Women Assembly. So we will be launching, and we have a small task team that's busy organizing all the logistics that are related to the launch. We want it to be visual. We want it to be interactive. I'm sure in the coming days, we'll be able to send you a clear indication of what will be taking place on that day, on the 8th. But also just to say that we know around that week, it's normally payday, SASSA grants are being made. And we wanted to utilize that day, those days as well, to distribute pamphlets, to also distribute stickers that will be put on taxis, on people's cars, on clinics, etc., different places, at the shops where people will be moving around, so that this is popularized. So essentially, we are launching on the 8th of August as part of the Women's Month, but also part of what we are discussing now in this conversation, in this webinar that we are having. I can see that already there will be a series of localized campaigning that is emerging as something that will happen in the month of August and beyond. I think we should now not have only the 16 days of activism. It's really, we need to step our game, step it up, and make sure that we really campaign vigorously and make sure we stamp this GBV and femicide. So that's all I wanted to say, but we will be sending a communique about the event itself of the launch. And we want it to be vibrant. We are looking at maybe 4 or 3 speakers, which are going to be the women who have experienced gender-based violence. And also there will be poetry, all of these other tools that we spoke about. But also we want to ask people, when you are doing some campaigning locally, make small videos, which we can also put it as part of this launch. And there will be people who will be speaking on radios and so on in the Eastern Cape, in the Western Cape, but also in your areas. We hope that you will begin to do the same. The helpline will be extended to other provinces, but we wanted to see that it works properly in the Western Cape and in the Eastern Cape to pilot it before we extend it to the other provinces. Thanks, sisters.
Thank you, Sis Lungi, with the presentation. We are very excited for the SMS helpline to launch. We can't wait. So, Comrade Ronel, you can do the summary of our meeting, and then we have a way forward.
Sure, my sister, but just before I go, I feel like I keep interrupting the process for doing the summary, but I see that there's 2 hands in the chat. So I don't know who this is, but it's the DAL computer, or DAL is the name, is asking about Limpopo doing an input. So just to create the space for DAL to do the input, and then after that, there's a Teddy Lehoto, who's also wanting to raise a point.
Okay, sisters, you can raise your comment or your points. Unfortunately, I can't see hands when you raise hands, so it's okay, Comrade Ronel, to assist, because I can't see people when they're raising their hands. Thank you. As it has been mentioned, you can take the platform.
The sister who is using the DAL computer, please go ahead. I think there's someone who wants to do an input on Limpopo.
Yes, finally. This is Gaurelo, and I'll be speaking about the way forward. As Connie said, that we should have ongoing campaigns, picketing at the police stations and municipality, inviting men, young men, and boys to join so that they can know what women face. Networking and wearing our Rua t-shirts, social media strategy, getting young women and everyone to be involved, like on Facebook with Ronel, and to share our struggles. And we should speak out and talk everywhere we can and in every chance we get. And our slogans are, it doesn't have to happen to me before I speak out. Organize or die. And we should be doing this on August, as it's a Women's Month. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister. Teddy wants to raise a point on behalf of his mother. Teddy, you're welcome.
Okay, greetings to you all.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you clearly. You can talk.
Okay, on behalf of my mother, she runs a project called Bomekenako in Kuruman, Northern Cape, in a small rural area called Vergenoeg. So she told me that she wants to raise a point whereby since from 2005, whereby she started to create a project called Bomekenako, which includes gardening and a center, whereby in this center we help those who are unfortunate or those who have lost their parents as orphans, yes. So like it seems like my mother have been struggling to get to you guys on rural development, whereby she says she doesn't get any support from you guys from social development actually. So she would like to know more about it. I don't think you guys are not, I don't think if you guys understand me what I'm trying to say.
Teddy, o kana wa bua Setswana ke tla ba tlhalosetsa.
Okay, re ke Morea bua.
Dumelang.
Age mma.
Age. Ke mme Malekgetho wa mo Kurumane. Nna concern ya me ke hela gore re na le project ha e re simotseng ka 2005. Mare yaanong ke tsamaile ko social development ebile makoto a me ebile a botlhoko. Like ke kopa dithuso ya leale yaanong ga re kry thuso epe go tswa ko social development. Dithuso di dintsi tse re buang ka tsone ke like go jana la hela go tla go sheba gore bomme a go te ke bomme ke nako ba dira eng sentle go diragalang ko teng ba tlene ba tla mare kgale kwano kwa no yana ga re tsira social development e teng gore ga re tlhaloga ke le mme Malekgetho ga ke tlhaloganye gore go diragalang hano ha rona selo se re se dira mo bomme ke nako re na le masimo a matona re na le a manyenyane re na le center e kima e ka yone re thusang batho botlhe ba ba tlhokang thuso ya rona tse dintsi thata re bomme ke nako re setlhopha sa bomme se se kopanya morafe wa rona le mafapha a farologaneng a puso go ya ka ha re bua mare tota thuso go tswa ko social development ra e tlhoka ga re kry re tlhoka thata jaaka re tshela le batho ba ba bogole bana ba dikhutsana re zero income yalo so ke sengwe le se re se tlhokang se ya leboga.
Okay, thank you, Ma. Sisters, what May is trying to say is that they have a center where they assist women, the unemployed women, orphans, and also they're giving skills to women at that center. They've been going to social development since 2006, and they have not yet been assisted. And it's a group of women who are who form part of Bommeki now. So she was telling us that they are suffering. They don't have help from government department, especially social development. They once came, they promised to assist, but they didn't assist. So anyone who could respond to me is welcome. Mama, mokgatlo wana wa Rural Women Assembly, Mama, ke o mongwe wa mekgatlo e leng gore e berekisiwa go bontsha botlhokwa ba mekgatlo ya bomme e thusang bomme le go bua le goromente gore a thuse mekgatlo ya bomme. Kopano ye ya ka re ditsitse yana re bileditse gone go bona gore na re thusa jang bomme ba e leng gore ba tlhoka thuso ya puso ebile gape kopano ye gagologolo e shebane le taba ya tlhekefetso ya bomme le go bolawa ga bomme. Ke kopano e leng gore re batla go bona gore na re ka dira jang re le bomme go bona gore tlhekefetso ya bomme, gender based violence e fokotsega jang ke dilo tse re ka di dirang. Jale ka ba tlhalositse gore go tshwanetse go ne le di-shelter, go ne le di-SMS helpline jalo le go campaigna go ya ko pusong go kopa dikatso go tswa mo pusong gore ba thuse mekgatlo ya rona ya bomme. Ke nagana gore o tla sia mo chat o sie dinomoro tsa gago gore re go kopantshe le ba bang ba mokgatlo wa Rural Women Assembly ka go o tla tlang a leka gore o bona gore o thusana yang le wena. Sisters, let us continue to Sister Ronelle to give us our summary of the meeting, and so that we can have a way forward.
Sure. Thank you, my sister.
Okay.
So maybe just to mention that there's quite a number of things that come out of the call. A few of the things to highlight is a call for young men and women to participate in the campaigns and the trainings and the movement or the strategy as we move forward. One of the tools that we are able to use is to start thinking about using poetry. And there was also an extension to this to start thinking about poetry, creating posters, and other creative ways of getting more young people and creative people involved in a strategy for combating gender-based violence and femicide. There was also a discussion about safe houses, and I think that Sis Mapone, you mentioned this already. Just to say that in rural communities, there still aren't enough safe homes. And it's to start thinking about how we create a demand around some of this. And also you mentioned the point of the mobile police stations, which was something that came from the Eastern Cape. There was also discussion around the redirecting of the budget, and a point for us to start thinking if we are wanting the budget to be redirected, is to start thinking about what will the budget be used for, what will the money be used for. So just to have clarity within our before we go to the government to ask for any specific requests around money. There was also a point raised by Richie, the social worker from Springbok. I don't know if we adequately addressed that, but maybe we can, in our way forward, also look to some of the points that this comrade has raised. And then also just to mention that there was a discussion about the court support. Sis Carmen explained what some of the functions are of the court support, and how this could also be part of the strategy for ending gender-based violence and femicide. Sis Connie spoke about ongoing campaigns, so not thinking about a campaign only being for 16 days of activism or for Women's Month, but to start thinking about kickstarting it in August and continuing it throughout this period, and to think about how we do that, and particularly an emphasis on local radio stations for sisters who don't have access to or network or smartphones to have access to certain campaigns. Is how else do we think about how we do the campaigns on the ground. The training of the paralegals, particularly for sisters in rural communities. And there's an issue of transport also raised in terms of the movement and the access to safe homes, police stations. There was also a point raised about picketing at police stations, printing, wearing the Rua t-shirts and becoming more visible in our local structures and communities, and to also create speak outs, and to, as part of speak outs, also use social media platforms with other young women from the different provinces. Sis Lungi mentioned and gave great detail about the SMS helpline and next steps regarding that. And I don't know if I'm missing anything out, my sister, so please do share with me if I'm missing anything out, but this is, in summary, what has been noted from this particular meeting. Thank you, Jay.
May I just
Thank you,
add?
thank you. Okay.
Yes,
I think one of the critical things, which I think is the outcome of this meeting, is the notion of running a competition for posters,
yes,
which can culminate into a calendar, and also the writing of poetry by our young women or anyone who have the edge for writing poetry. And these things can become part of our voice in terms of GBV, and also campaigning for the end of GBV. I think they can become even a booklet on this, on the poetry, and maybe a calendar which can raise money, which will support the safe houses. Yeah, thanks.
Yes, Meshia, you can talk.
There's also was, I mean, Renal, you spoke about some of the kind of small, but there's a bigger question, bigger issue raised about how do we engage government? How do we engage government around the budgets? What are our demands? How do we build a coherent strategy that can take on board all the demands that is coming across, whether it's a safe house or social counseling, etc. But how do we frame such a coherent strategy? And how is the issue of women's economic independence put in the center of that strategy? That's what I heard coming from all of the groups as well.
Thank you, Meshia. You want to speak again, Meshia? Or lower your hand? Anyone who wants to talk, who wants to add something that we missed in the summary as a way forward? Okay, sisters. I see that we need to have a strategy that we would compile as the country in terms of way forward that or the points that were raised in this meeting, and hence also we need to have a common campaign. It was also raised in the by one of our sisters that we need to have a common campaign. Assist comrades. What is our next step? Comrade Lungi is saying we need a team that will work on the strategies. Sorry, sister. Like I said, I'm multitasking here. Sorry for the disturbance. Sis Lungi was saying on the notes that she sent that we need women who would assist, leaders to assist in compiling the strategy that we are going to use as a way forward. So any volunteers?
Hi, sorry, love. Volunteers for what?
To compile a strategy in terms of the way forward.
Okay.
Remember, we have a summary of the points that were raised here. And then how are we going to implement that? How are we going to put that into action? So we need people who would volunteer to be part of that. Yes.
Okay.
And also
So
in terms of taking our campaign forward.
So you're writing our numbers or our emails, or what do we write? If you want to volunteer.
Yes, I think so. Your name, just raise your hand that you want to participate.
Okay, I'll do that.
And your name is, so that Comrade Bonel can take down your name.
Norma.
Comrade Norma. So how many people would we want for this team, Comrade Lungi? Any suggestion?
It could be just a small team of about 5 people. I'm happy to be part of the team to make sure we consolidate the strategy now into a document and all these ideas that we've highlighted from the different provinces.
Okay. Now we are short of 3 people. Comrade Norman and Comrade Lungi have volunteered. Any other volunteers?
I can assist Lungisa.
Okay. We are in short of extra 2.
Yourself and Nomonde.
It's no longer volunteering, Malaysia. What is that?
No, I said Nomonde is in already.
Okay, okay. Okay, Nomonde. And I will assist. Okay, thank you.
What about Carmen? What's wrong with Carmen?
Comrade Carmen, are you available?
And also there's Dina. I'm trying to get people from across the country.
Sisters,
Carmen is gone.
Okay, let's agree that sisters who would want to be part of the strategic planning will forward their names to Comrade Ronel. But at the moment we have Comrade Naoma, Comrade Lungi, Comrade Meshia, Comrade Nomonde, and Wiponi. Is there anything, comrades, that you want to raise before we close our meeting? Our agenda is finished, Musne. Comrade Francine Ngosi, she's also volunteering to be part of the planning team.
Thank you.
Okay. Sisters, is our agenda finished? Because I didn't see our agenda, I'm sorry. So anyone who has the points on the agenda, Sister Ronel, are we done with our agenda of the day?
Yes, my sister. It seems that we had covered all the things that we needed to.
Okay. Sisters, thank you for your participation and also the good work that we have done on the points that were raised in the national group. And also we need to follow up and make sure that all the inputs that were done by provinces are implemented, and then we make a very huge impact and RA is visible out there. So thank you, sisters, very much. You did well. See you next time. We will update you on every step that we'll be taking as a team that will be planning the strategy, and also will communicate back to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, my pony. Thank you, Charmaine, for chairing the meeting. And thank you for everyone's participation and for all the meetings that you have held provincially. I think we are beginning now to get used to use this virtual way of working. We want to always say to you, please continue to do the work and let us not stop now. Let's keep this momentum going. Thank you, everybody, for your contribution. Don't forget the 8th, the launch. We'll keep you posted. Bye.
Okay. Okay. Bye, sisters.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.